All right, what's going on, everybody? Demarco Crum and Laura Mahone back for another episode of the Strength with Purpose show.
Mhm.
And we're here to talk about fitness and have some fun along the way and help you become your strongest self. So we've talked about, the purpose of our strength, what we're here to do. We want to help give you some actionable takeaways, some things that you can do to help improve your health and fitness and work towards your goals. And obviously, we've discussed our roles as stay-at-home parents, as personal trainers, as small business owners, and people that are just trying to figure it out, just like you. In many ways, we're, you know, there's a lot more that we have in common and more ways that we're relatable to you, even if someone is coming in not understanding as much about health and fitness. But at the end of the day, we still got laundry, we still got chores, we still got bills, and we're still trying to navigate it all.
Mhm.
And I tell people this all the time, even as coaches, even I struggle to get my workouts in. So it's funny. And Laura, you've heard this like, oh, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
just yeah. And I used to say that too when I was younger, and it's
Mhm.
the whole thing. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. It's fun to reflect on those moments and be like, hey, I was really wrong in that moment. I shouldn't
Yeah.
have said that to that person because it's all so different. And even, in my opinion, week to week changes. It's never going to be the same. It's never, you could plan as much as you want to and you can have like structures of things, but life, as we just like said, life happens. Things come up unexpectedly and you just got to roll with the punches too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's really the hard thing is particularly if you're goal oriented and you want to try to get on a system and be consistent and get on a schedule. It's hard because it very much feels like you get into a good rhythm and then the rug gets ripped out from under you
Yeah.
constantly.
Hmm.
Oh, guess what? Your kid's sick.
Yep.
You got to go get him from school or daycare. And just so many things happen. It's incredible. Lots of chaos. So lots of chaos. But what we try to do is I think of it more as almost like you're in a boat and you're in the water and you're headed towards a destination and you might veer off course a little bit here and there. You may hit a big wave that kind of has you veer off. You may have to go around an obstacle or something, but we always kind of recalibrate, realign, and reset. So, and I tell people this to think about even if you have a bad week or a bad month or even a bad year, like the work you've done in the past still counts, right? It's not like you
Yeah.
start off back from zero and all that. So we'll get more into that later. I'm,
Mhm.
I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Um, and just a big reminder to you guys, if you get value from this show, please hit the thumbs up, like our video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Laura and I have been talking a lot about the content that we're going to be coming out with for you guys. One of our subscribers was asking about a deadlift throwdown, which I'm excited for Laura to get into this because we just so happen to have a state record holding powerlifter
Yeah.
rank.
Uh-huh.
So
It's been
she's
a
going to
little while, but
yeah.
yeah.
But she's gonna get into it, and I've pulled some decent numbers. I'm not as strong as Laura, but I did pull some. I've put four wheels on the bar, so
Hey, that's
I'm
great.
respectable, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
more than respectable. That's great.
yeah. Thank you. So, but we're definitely gonna get into that and so many other things. So, to bring it back to our main topic for today, we're going to discuss in each of our professional opinions the one thing holding you back from accomplishing your health and fitness goals. So, Laura, I'm throwing the mic over to you.
Yeah.
What is the one thing holding you back from reaching your goals and accomplishing your health and fitness dreams?
So that's a really good question. And I do have a couple of answers for this one. But the one that's at the forefront of my mind is because I had this conversation multiple times this week, and it's the fear of failure. It's thinking that you're not going to be good, that you're not going to be able to adhere to it again in the way that you plan, and that you're just, something's going to come up and you're going to quote unquote like fall off the wagon again. And when we have, there's a very, very vulnerable conversation to have and thought to have
Yes.
because we can feel like we're drowning in like so many aspects of our life because we have so many responsibilities, again, especially as parents, that failure seems like it's sometimes like right next door to you or in your ear all the time because you're just constantly juggling. But my perspective is that there's no such thing as failure. Eating a vegetable for the day is success as like if you, especially if you haven't eaten a vegetable yesterday, like if you didn't have one, you're eating vegetables
Oh
today.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's not failure at all. Um, so my general perspective is there's no such thing as failure, and we're just working through the ebbs and flows of life and trying to make it all work. And some periods of time it is a little bit easier than others, and sometimes it's not. And it's going to be more difficult. But we have, fitness is a lifelong journey. It's not this week, it's not next month, it's not this next year. We have to just figure out how to make it work in our entire life, and different lives or excuse me, different seasons of life are going to present different problems and opportunities to be able to work through that.
I think that's a fantastic answer, and we don't have the same answer, which is
I
great.
didn't think so.
Great.
Yeah. I was
That's
hoping I was
awesome.
going to do something different than you.
No, that's wonderful. I could not agree more. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from an old book on like war slash philosophy slash tactics. Have you ever heard of The Art of War?
I've heard of it. I've never read
Yeah,
it.
it's an old book. It was written like I think a couple thousand years ago. It's been a while, but it's written by Sun Tzu, who was an army Chinese general in the army and a strategist, and wrote this book where he talked about war and strategy, and it's been used in a lot of businesses, and private companies have read it and taken wisdom from it because it's very applicable to not just the art of slaughtering each other with swords and bows and arrows, but it's pretty cool. But one of the quotes in it is, "In the midst of chaos lies tremendous opportunity."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great reframe of, oh, cool, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, but what can we do? What are our opportunities versus, oh crap, I let another day get away from me, and I didn't get everything I needed to get done, and today was a loss, an L, as the kids would say. I sound like an old person saying that, but I
I don't know
agree.
what I could say these days.
Yeah, but I totally agree, and I
Um,
think I think on top of that, you think about just from a multi-generational standpoint. I've talked to so many parents of our generation that are working on breaking habits and patterns from prior generations. So there's just a tremendous amount of work that's being done. Not just on the health and fitness front, but also just within families. You look back and you're
yeah.
like, hey, these parts of my childhood were great. I definitely want to continue these traditions, but then some things like let's maybe make some changes.
Yeah.
Let's maybe slightly do a little bit better, and that's a lot to process, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a great reframe. Be kind with yourself, and that fear of failure, it definitely holds you back. I agree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My husband, and does go for pretty much like everything in your life and every relationship you have and every task that you have to do, work related, whatnot. The last night, my husband and I were even just like having a moment of trying to like release all of our stress, and we're like, "Why is this so stressful right now? Like, why does life seem stressful?" And he had like the pinpoint answer, which is it's because we're always trying to grow. And like there's moments where again you're in growth mode and you're trying to do more, and sometimes it does feel like it's a little bit of failure, but at the same time if you're doing something like I said, like more than you did yesterday, you're growing, and that's becoming that's giving you that opportunity to be able to grow and grow as a person. And I always like to talk about like start making decisions as your future self would. So, who do you want to be a year from now? Who do you want to be 5 years from now? And what's like the smallest decision you can make today and take action on it to start becoming that person? Otherwise, they're just going to be like a theoretical person in your head, and you're going to, spin your wheels trying to think of like, oh, well, I could do this, but I'm too afraid to. I could do this, but I'm afraid
Yep.
I'm not going to do well at it. But if you like I know this takes a lot of resilience and a lot of grit as well. But if you can start like dipping your toes into the fire a little bit more, you're gonna be like amazed with like the kind of person that you can become just from taking that first step.
I agree. I think that's another wonderful piece of insight. I think that's awesome. And again, thinking more long-term growth mind. And you're right. I mean, in training, you're lifting heavier weights, you're doing more reps. I mean, what's happening? You're
Yeah.
intentionally making yourself uncomfortable,
Yep.
exposing yourself to discomfort to grow, to build
Mm-hmm.
muscle, to burn
Mm-hmm.
fat. If you're in a fat loss phase, for example, you're putting yourself in a caloric deficit, which is, it's not, obviously you're not starving yourself, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, if you're doing it right and you're not doing one of those really crazy crash diets, but there's discomfort. There's periods where you're
Yeah.
gonna be hungry. Your
Yeah.
body's like, listen, bro, I need calories. And you're like, no, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
body, you're good.
Yeah.
We have a
Yeah.
plan. You're okay. And
Exactly.
there's that kind of
Exactly.
command override that's happening. So it's yeah, so I think that's amazing, and that's wonderful. I think my answer
Mhm.
pair is going to pair really well with yours. So I think it's going to be perfect. And I'm going to come at you with another quote. I'm apparently very quote obsessed that I've found out during these podcasts because I always end up having at least like two or three per episode. But this is from a movie, so feel free to laugh at my nerdness, Laura. This is from the action movie Under Siege 2: Dark Territory. It's a movie with Steven Seagal. It's an action movie, and the villain in the movie has a quote, and it is "Chance favors the prepared mind." And I remember thinking as a kid when I watched this movie, wow, that's really deep. And now I think about it more, and 30 years later, wow, that's really deep. Kind of a
Yeah.
cool concept, and it makes sense. And I taking that quote and that theme, I think just not having a plan. So I think that fear of failure and not having a plan pair really well together,
Yeah. Yeah.
because let's say there's something that you want to accomplish. I want to lift a certain amount of weight. I want to lose a certain number of pounds, drop a certain percentage of body fat. It's wonderful to have the goal, the end state that we are striving towards. I think that's awesome. I think that North Star is what you need to kind of get you moving. But if you don't have a way of getting there, how the heck are you going to get there? It's
Mhm.
so often in life we just kind of drift around and we don't have a plan. We don't have measurable, smart goals,
Mhm.
specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and time based. We don't give ourselves parameters and a plan to go off of. And then, I mean, how do you know that you even made it there? How do you know if you're making progress, particularly like micro progressions, like Laura was referring to, making even just one small little win. But that one small little win after another, after another, after another, it's that positive domino effect where the dominoes start falling in the direction you want them to, towards your goals. So I think fear of failure is wonderful, and I also think the just not having a plan, not having a simple, consistent plan that you can follow that will slowly get you there. So,
Yeah.
and it turns out if that's something you're struggling with, I know two fitness professionals that can help you with that.
Uh-huh.
So just in case you were wondering. So
Yeah.
in fact, I think let's segue into it. Laura, I would love to hear about the metabolic mom method, unless there's
Yeah.
something else that you'd like to talk about. But I know
No,
that's what
no,
you've
I was
been
just gonna,
talking about lately.
yeah, I was gonna piggyback on what you said though, of not having a plan. Like a conversation I have with all my clients, pretty much at some point in time, is the decision paralysis. We're bombarded constantly with marketing about fitness and health and
Absolutely.
what we should be doing and the best diet and all these like trends and fads. And I know, like, even from, if somebody does go to like our accounts or our social media accounts, they could be like, oh, this is just like another fitness person. Like, what gimmick do they have? Or what are they going to tell me? Like, what magic words are they going to have that just like, instantly makes, me reach my
Yep.
goals? And I just put a post up about this is that there, in all the trends, it gets so easy to get lost in them and to not know what to do. But
Yes.
when you go back to the basics and you do the basics literally like 90% of the time, 80% of the time, you are growing and you're going to get to your goals and you're going to get better. And the basics like are really simple. It doesn't have to be as complicated as all these marketing schemes make it out to be. Basics are basics, and as long as you do them repeatedly, you're going to live like a pretty awesome, energetic, strong life.
Oh, I agree, 1000%. And what's really cool is, by the way, everyone, I told, not like I told her like I'm her boss, but I messaged Laura and let her know what our topic for today was. But I intentionally did not ask what her answer to the question was or tell her what mine was. So
Mhm.
that part of it was still unplanned, which is really
Yeah.
really cool. And I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great way of looking at it. And again, I'm going to drop another quote on you because I can't help
I
myself.
love it.
Dan, I'm sure you've heard of Dan John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually have his book. I love it.
he's awesome. No, he's great. He's actually the coach. He's actually the reason I got into kettlebells. By the way, I
Oh,
um
makes sense.
I stumbled upon his 10,000 kettlebell swings program on T Nation back in the early late two,
Awesome.
or yeah, mid 2000s,
Hmm.
and just totally changed the game for me.
Yeah.
But one of his great quotes is, "When things go wrong, simplify."
Yeah.
So And it's like yeah, and I couldn't agree more. You hit your basic movement patterns,
Yeah.
pick a small handful of movements, get really strong at them, progress, and then,
Mhm.
vary things up from time to time. You can do a
Yep.
squat pattern. It doesn't have to be a bilateral squat. It can be a split squat. It can be a pistol squat. It can, there's so many variations. You can do like obviously that we can save that for another day, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's another great takeaway is just simple. A simple program executed consistently beats a complex program that's done sporadically.
Yep.
It's
Or that's unrealistic even for that matter. If you can only do it for
exactly.
a week at a time, then that's like I guess where that failure component comes into play too. It's not necessarily failure, it just doesn't work for you and what your lifestyle is.
Agreed. Yeah. No, and that's where I say this to my clients all the time. Whenever we need to make a change to the program, which happens all the time, by the way. It's very, very rare do I just write a program like, all right, cool. This program that I have written out for, 4, 8, 12 weeks or whatever, it's going to go off without a sitch and there's going to be no problems and you're going to do every extra. No, I mean, people wake up with back pain, something happens, they go out of town and they only have a resistance band or maybe a dinky rinky dink hotel gym that has like a treadmill and maybe a pair of dusty dumbbells. We modified, and it's personal fitness for a reason. The fitness
Exactly.
program is personalized to you.
Hmm.
And yes, there's basics and fundamentals that we go off of. We're going to squat, we're going to push, we're going to pull, we're going to hinge, we're going to carry. We're going to do our mobility. We're going to work on our NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and making nutritional changes to augment the training and to work towards your goals. But at the end of the day, we're still working basics, but we still tweak and adjust things. And I always say like adjust the volume knob based on where we're at that day,
Yep.
and for the person. So
Agreed. Agreed. And now piggyback that's more so the metabolic mom method. It's just utilizing the basics, having the basic information, having the basic guidelines, having a basic plan. And my goal ultimately is to reduce the barrier to entry. So you don't need like a lot of fancy equipment. What the exercises are can be versatile. So you can do them at a hotel gym. You can do them at your house and in your living room. Because that's honestly, that's how I work out 90% of the time. It's like, I have a doorway where I anchor my bands and I have a weight with me, and that's pretty much it. So it's really reducing the barrier to entry and then being able to adapt little things based off of a schedule change or off of, we're in like the season of birthday parties right now. So
oh
that's
yeah.
like my example. When you have birthday parties to go to every single weekend and you're tempted with all this food, what are the basic guidelines you can follow so you can still start reaching your goals and enjoy, a piece of birthday cake without worrying about it.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. And I can just tell you right now, for the last, up until recently, actually, I have done at-home workouts for almost 5 years, actually. Of
Yeah,
course, we're including COVID times
yeah, yeah.
as well, where it was just out of necessity. But it was a thing. I did, I had a 6-piece puzzle piece mat set, one or two kettlebells, a pull-up bar, and I only recently got a jump rope and an ab wheel. So I've before that I only had just one piece of equipment, a kettlebell and a mat. And same as you, very simple, very versatile. I took the kettlebell with me. We would road trip. We would go to visit my in-laws. I would take the bell with me and work out in the garage. I would do, push-ups, upper body. Maybe, I'm not pistol squatting as well these days, but gotta get back to it. But doing, some kind of lower body exercise and sprinting at the beach.
Hmm.
But I very much agree with that mindset of let's adapt it to our current life situation. So I think that's great. And again, just up until recently, I was doing all of my workouts at home, and I'm back in a gym now, which is cool. It's in our apartment building, and it's actually really nice. I'm very
That's good.
spoiled. But that sounds great, Laura. How can people find the Metabolic Mom Method?
Yeah, so if you just send me a DM on social media, so I have my Facebook, Laura Mahoney, but Instagram is pretty much where I live all the time. So at Laura Mahoney Fitness, just send me a message and we'll open up the conversation. And I always like to tell people, like, I'm a real person, I'm an open book, I'm not just like the face you see on a social media page. So feel free to be open and honest with me because I absolutely love doing this. And the more we communicate, the more open we get, the more I can actually help you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree more. I tell that to clients all the time, especially when we first get started.
Yeah.
You're building rapport. You want to build that
Yeah.
KLT, that know, like,
Like the
trust,
best. Yep.
and all that. And the more, there's another quote. It's like something trust equals speed. Like the more you trust, you have that shared trust, the faster you can
Mhm.
go together, and crush goals, obstacles, and overcome things, and ultimately reach the destinations that you want to reach.
Mhm.
So I think that's awesome. I'm going to put a link to Laura's socials below. So if you are interested in her, it is called the Metabolic Mom Method.
Yeah.
Did I get that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So
Got it right. It was good.
yeah. So if you're a mom and you are interested in the Metabolic Mom Method, definitely check it out below. I'm going to put a link there. If you, and this is what I really want out of this show is, we want to give you actionable takeaways and advice and strategies that don't feel like you have to choose a side. If you hear Laura's messaging and it really resonates with you, and you want to reach out to her to coach, that's awesome. Please do so. She's a fantastic coach. I've seen her in action, and she knows what she's doing, knows what she's talking about. And as of late, especially understands the chaos of stay at home life with two kiddos and a
Yep.
dog. So so
Stubborn dog.
she's trained. Steven Seagal pretends to be a highly trained Navy SEAL in the movie. Laura is highly trained and very, very, very capable. So she can
And
relate to you on that front.
I
So,
just made a post that I'm like at my dishwasher like 96% of the time. So even if
dude,
that resonates with
facts.
you, then we're gonna mesh well. My mom
Yeah.
uniform out of a dishwasher.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm literally the same dishwasher in the sink. I wash so many
Oh my
because we try
god.
to cook. That's the thing is like people don't tell you this when you cook more food and you try to be more intentional with your nutritional choices and making food. Like it all sounds good on paper, but then you just end up doing a lot more dishes.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that. The
No,
takeout
no. I'm
container you can
also
just throw
learning to
away.
yeah, I'm learning to simplify that process too. Like every day I'm getting better at
Yeah,
it.
you
Just when
get
there's
yeah.
multiple people and it's not just me anymore, I'm like, all right, there's a lot going on. And then
That's
there's like
it.
yogurt smeared all over the countertops and all over our stools, and so throw that into the mix of it all.
Absolutely. Have you seen the show Parks and Rec?
Oh my, we're on that show right now. We've gone through phases. We're between The Office and Parks and Rec, and we just started
Awesome.
Parks and Rec this week again.
Oh, excellent. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
good timing.
What part of the show are you on right now? I don't want to
We're in
spoil
season
it for you.
one, but
Oh,
I've seen them all, but we're like back in season
oh,
one.
you
Yeah,
have some. Okay.
yeah,
So I always forget the lady's name, but you remember later in the show um, when he runs for office and they hire the campaign manager.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Rob Lowe, right? Chris Traeger.
yeah, Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's in there. But then there's the other character, and she visits their house, and she walks in, and there's the kids running around because it's Leslie, and is it not? Oh my God,
Ben
Wyatt?
Wyatt. Yeah, Ben
Thank you.
Wyatt.
Leslie and Wyatt, and they have kids. And she walks in and she says, "Why is everything sticky in here?"
I very much remember that.
It's really
Yep.
funny.
Yep.
And I
That's
watched that before Vivi was born, but now it's really funny. Now it's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. They touch
yeah.
everything, and
They
yeah,
Yeah, they touch everything. So my husband, he's a firefighter, so he'll like leave the house to go to work. And he's come back to the house for, since my son was born almost 4 years ago. He'll just be like, Laura, it smells like diapers in here. Did somebody poop? And I'm like, no, nobody pooped. It just smells like diapers in here. I can't
that's
help
it.
it.
Yeah, you do it, and you have two of them now, so you just got to survive. Like
Yeah, yeah.
so
Survive, and I'll maybe kind of add my thoughts with all this too. A lot of it though is just a perspective change. Like, no, I don't like doing dishes all the time. No, I don't like cleaning up yogurt. No, I don't like that my house smells like diapers. But at the same time, I'm trying to let all that go and just be like, I have really freaking awesome kids. They're so much fun. And I would just want to enjoy the crap out of my time with them. And when that can be at the forefront of your mind and you kind of like remove some of the extra stressors that do
yeah.
come with it, and obviously they're still going to be there, it's still going to be in the back of your mind, but then you can start showing up better in your life and really just like remind yourself to enjoy your time with them, but enjoy your life.
I like that a lot. That's good to kind of hold both
Hmm.
both concepts in your mind at the same time because it's very easy to turn the dial one way and go, all right, I'm gonna just gonna focus on my kids and be a super mom, super
Hmm.
dad. and not practice any self-care. And there's kind of like, you've seen it online. There's a very performative aspect to it of like, I want to be the best mom ever. And, I only feed them organic grade AAA food that's been, shiatsu massaged by a shaman, just to the point of just like, bro, we're going a little too far here. But, and it becomes like a contest of like who can be better. And it's kind of Karen vibes in a way too.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Really enjoy your time with your kids, but also enjoy your life because it's been a wonderful phase for me as well. So much fun, so much. And actually, I was going to say enlightenment, but that was the wrong word. But there has been enlightenment.
There's that
A
too.
lot about myself, enriching.
Yeah.
Word that I was trying to think of, and it's fun, man. It's a wild ride, but it's a good,
Wild.
and it horrifies my non-child friends, my non-parent friends. They're just like, bro, how could you do this? And you're like, you just have to be there. You just don't,
Yeah.
it's just a whole different life, and it's so amazing, and it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for us. We are obviously super into it. That's amazing. In To piggyback off of what Laura said, which by the way, she's an awesome coach. If you're interested and want to work with her, please reach out. You can DM her. I'll put all of her social stuff below. If you're interested in a little bit more of like a kettlebell focused program, you can join my Strong Squad, which is my online training program, and very similar to Laura. I've actually been slowly transitioning more into training with dads, so we're kind of you're getting both.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. So I have my Strong Squad, which is my online training program where we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about your health and fitness goals, and give you a very simple program, body weight, kettlebell based, and then it can change if you end up getting back into a gym. If you get more equipment, we can always adjust things accordingly. But for me, we use the kettlebell and the body weight as the starter. This for most people. Obviously, we'll do a movement assessment, make sure you're good to go. So if you're interested in doing that, I'll put my information below as well. And yeah, Laura, do you have anything else to add before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think we covered a lot today. I get so excited about these topics though that I'm like, I could talk for another 5 hours about this. So I'm just gonna
No,
I'm gonna close my mouth now and say we'll see you next time. And I'm assuming you'll say this also, but like let us know if you have any topics that you want us to cover, because clearly we will like talk about it willingly and openly, and we
yeah,
want to be able to help you and support you and what your needs are.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I'm with Laura 1,000%. I will just give you a quick preview. Next week's topic is going to be the deadlift. So we're going to really get into the deadlift, and we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it. We're going to give you as much information as possible. We're going to get into positioning. We'll talk about stance. We'll talk about breathing. We'll talk about all the different things about the deadlift. We're going to go really deep into it, and I'm excited because I think that most of you will likely walk away having learned something new, and have a different perspective of the deadlift. And Laura and I will have some fun, and we'll talk about why the hinge is such an important movement pattern and how it tends to crop up in our daily living.
Every single day.
Well, and I may actually, that reminds me, I'll message you for some videos of us performing various hinges to show you.
I have a good one in my head right now.
Too. So we will have some fun there. And but yeah, we want to thank all of you so much for tuning in, for listening. And if you have any ideas for topics, have any questions you would like answered, hit us up in the DMs, hit us in the comments, let us know, and we'll get to you. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Thank you. Bye.